Welcome to Grazing Hell, the one and only podcast made by a cow. And today's guest is Bexx, with 2 X's.
That's true.
It's true.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to add a quick note. Bexx and I recorded this episode on Friday 6th of August in the afternoon, and that evening was the whole Faye and Teddy situation. If you're currently watching the show, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, this little note isn't going to make much sense. I apologise. Feel free to skip a couple of minutes to the episode. Now, had this episode aired before Bexx and I recorded, we would of course be talking about this in great depth. And in light of this situation, we are much more critical of the show, especially the producers. And I think this would be a very different podcast episode. In this episode, we'll mainly be talking about the phenomenon of nice guys. So I still think it's okay to go ahead. And the whole Faye incident has made us much more critical of the show, especially the producers, because it demonstrates how little the producers care about the islanders' well-being. Because A, they allowed the situation to happen in the first place without intervening, and B, they aired it, which was trying to make entertainment out of a really distressing scene. And if they really cared about the islanders' well-being like they claim to be, they would never have aired this. So yeah, Bexx and I just want you to know that had this happened before, we would be talking about this in great depth, and we would have a much stronger condemnation of the Love Island producers, because that is something we talk about at the end of this episode. And that reminds me, in the last 10 minutes, trigger warning, there will be brief discussions of suicide, so just prepare yourself for that. That being said, the episode overall is pretty lighthearted and pretty fun. So I hope you enjoy, and thank you for listening.
Yeah. We just sent the cow on an errand.
Yeah, she's getting our coffees. No, I'm joking. She's not the intern. She's the main person. She's like in the board meeting.
But she is on an errand.
Yeah. I suppose we shouldn't say what it is because it's like secret financial offshore stuff. Let's not get into that. Do you want to tell the listeners about yourself?
Yeah,
please do.
I guess. Hello.
If you were to say no, I'd be like, well, you have to.
Yeah, I actually insist upon remaining enigmatic. No, I am Bexx. Just one name, like Cher or Madonna or The Rock.
You don't have a surname.
No. And I am a singer and songwriter and friend of Tara.
That's true. Those are all true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end, we can talk about your music and you can plug it.
Like, honestly, I'm here to talk about Love Island.
Love Island.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So this episode is about Love Island. And I think we'll talk about lots of aspects of it. But I think particularly we're quite interested in talking about nice guys, aren't we?
Yeah.
And the reason I have Bexx is, as well as being a singer-songwriter, is that she's got a PhD in Love Island studies.
I have, actually.
Yeah, it's true. It's a thing.
It's from the University of Mallorca.
Yeah. Exactly. And your initiation was, well, we won't get into that.
Yeah.
But so
my dissertation was on Megan Barton Hanson and why she's the perfect reality TV character.
Yeah, of course. And we'll get into that as well.
Yeah, of course.
So in case you haven't seen Love Island, I don't know why the hell you're listening.
If you've not seen Love Island, some introductory episodes. Camilla breaking it off with Johnny because he's not a feminist.
Iconic.
Kem coming back from Casa Amor. These are both season 3. Jess coming in season 3 and stealing Dom and everyone losing their minds.
That was iconic.
Probably an episode before Casa Amor with Amber and Michael, then Amber coming back and Michael calling her childish.
Childish.
Yeah, I can't do it, but
childish.
If I could, I would.
That's meant to be a Scouse accent, by the way.
It's not very good.
Yeah. So to explain the premise of it, just in case.
Yeah, sorry, I've gone straight in with the episodes you should watch.
Of course, I agree. I think that's important to tell the listeners they're essential reading or essential viewing. So basically, it's I can't remember the name of the person, a journalist. I'll credit them in the notes. Called it Straight Camp, and I think that's a really apt description. It's basically just men and women they put on. They say an island. I don't even know if is it an island.
Well, it's Mallorca.
Oh, they still do it in Mallorca, right?
Yeah.
Because they did it in South Africa at one point.
Yes.
That was during winter Love Island, wasn't it?
Yes, but we don't talk about that series.
Yeah, it wasn't very good. Anyway, and they got a couple up. They vote people off. They switch couples. There's this thing called Casa Amor where they separate the guys and the girls and put them on different villas, and then they might couple up with new people, and that causes drama. And the winners are the final couple standing. They get voted by the public, and then they win 50k, not each or split. Yeah. Okay.
Technically, so if you win the 50k, technically they do it so that you get 2 envelopes,
yes.
And one person takes one envelope and one takes the other, and one of them's got 50k in and the other one's got nothing.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually have 50k in it. It's just got writing that says £50,000.
And they can choose whether they want to share it or keep it.
Yeah, but no one's ever just kept it.
I really want that to happen. That would be...
I mean, yeah, it would be funny. I don't think... I could be wrong because I actually didn't see the finale of Winter Love Island. Sorry to diehards, but
no,
I didn't.
No, it was a boring series.
As far as I know, it's always been the bloke who's got the envelope with the 50k in. Like, I don't...
Not
really
Amber.
know.
No, Amber's year. It was her, not Greg.
It was Greg. Greg got it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, well obviously I'm going to share it." It was like, "Yeah, you are, Greg, because you're currently quids in with the public. We all like you."
Yeah.
Not going to ruin it for our first solo winner.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess the reason we're talking about it is because, like, even though Love Island UK is like the biggest one, it has spread to other countries. Like, there's a US one, there's a Danish one, there's
France and Germany
one.
As well.
Oh my
because
God.
Marvin from Too Hot to Handle season 2 was also on Love Island France.
No.
Yeah, he's like a bit of a reality TV hopper. So he was on Love Island France. He was on Les Marseillais in France. He was on something else as well, I think.
Yeah.
But he's been on a bunch of stuff.
There
in
are
France.
people that have been on Love Island who have then been on Made in Chelsea, which is another reality TV show.
And Towie and Geordie Shore.
Right. Well, there you go. So we got reality TV hoppers. That's the thing. But Love Island UK seems to be like the most popular one. Like, even with international viewers, like big American YouTubers like Cody Ko have made videos on Love Island. Like, I think it is just like the most iconic iteration of Love Island. It is the original one as well, isn't it? The UK one came first.
Yeah,
right?
and in a way, like a lot of the copies of it feel like sort of quite pale imitations.
I agree.
Like,
it doesn't work within the US, I don't think, as well.
Well, particularly for US and Australia, what I found watching them is that it feels quite jarring hearing these obvious like Britishisms coming out of the mouths of like people who, well, because
they're trying to imitate
I could
the
be wrong. Go off against me in the comments, I guess. But hearing an American person be like, "So what's your type on paper?"
Right.
Like, it doesn't feel like as natural as it did when Amber started saying it in series 3 and it just stuck.
Yes.
And became a Love Islandism, but like originally I think it was an Amber thing.
Grafting as well.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, I agree. And also I just think the narration from Ian Sterling, I feel like can't really be paralleled.
Oh, there was one that made me cackle last week.
Yeah. Go on, share it.
It's the one where, so last week they're all coming back in from Casa Amor, and Toby brings he brings Mary back in, and Abby's sat there, she's by herself. And Ian Sterling's narration goes, Mary's thinking, when will they forgive me? Abby's thinking, can I get him back? Toby's thinking, when are they going to bring some more girls in? Because he's on 5 now.
Yeah, exactly. No.
Well, I mean, Chloe's a repeat. But
fifth
iteration
stop.
of...
It's fifth stop on the line of girls. Yeah. So,
I feel like there'll be more as well.
Yeah. And the funny thing about Love Island is that one of the things I found really interesting about it is that it like creates like quite serious public discourse. So like, do you remember the year, was it season 4? The year that Jack and Danny won?
Yeah, that's season 4.
There was a whole incident quite early on in the series where Rosie and Adam had a situation, and it brought up like public discourse around gaslighting. And I think before then it hadn't really been in like the mainstream British media consciousness, or not to the same degree, because I believe it was Women's Aid that said, hey, just so you know that this behavior is gaslighting. Like if your partner does this, watch out for this. It was
a domestic abuse charity wading in on Love Island to say that the show villain is behaving unacceptably.
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Yeah, I mean, he was just like an elite level villain. It was weird that he sort of was like Priti Patel, like everyone that he coupled up with just went home immediately. And he had absolutely no regrets about it. He was just like,
next one,
on to the next girl to deport out of Mallorca.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the thing, like, a lot of people responded to it being like, oh, it's just Love Island. But I think the point that Women's Aid were making is that, like, yes, we know that these are manufactured situations, but if someone were to behave this in real life, in a real life relationship, that would be gaslighting. That would be abuse. Like, and that's that. I think that's why the lessons from it are so important. And also, people talk a lot about like how it's got a very narrow sense of beauty. It's like one body type and that kind of thing. And does this have a really bad effect on young people watching it? Probably, almost certainly. So yeah, there's a lot to talk about. And I think even though the show in itself might on the surface seem like just reality TV, I think it opens up like a lot of really important conversations. And that's why I think it stuck so much as a reality TV show. Like, not only is it just super entertaining, but that as well, it brings out all those conversations. So
if you're listening to us talk nonsense about Love Island and you're like, I've never seen this show before, where do I start? And you think you want to watch a whole season, start at season 3. I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix.
Yes, ITV Player, Netflix.
So it's on Netflix if you're not in the UK.
Or there are other ways you can get it. You know what I mean?
Well, we only do legal things here.
Oh right, okay, my bad. Sorry.
Yeah. Listen, if there's a VPN who wants to sponsor you, then shout them out. But if there's not,
I do, but I think even then they probably wouldn't want me to.
There you go then. So we only watch things through legal means. Nobody here is encouraging you to use an unverified source to stream episodes of British iconic reality TV show Love Island.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Nice Guys. Okay, so do you want to tell us, like, if any, what your sort of perception of Nice Guys is? You don't have to tell us about your experience of Nice Guys, but like when you first became aware of them and the term Nice Guy.
I mean, I feel like the phrase Nice Guys finish last has been burned onto my brain since I was like a teenager.
Yes, of course, same.
I don't know if as a teenager on the internet you also went through a phase of being like anti-feminist. Like, I definitely was like, oh, this has gone too far. Feminists just hate men. And look, as a feminist, do I hate men? A little.
But it's not because you're
No, it's because sometimes they're really annoying. No, just for clarity, that was a joke. I listened to your episode about how people on Twitter can't take a joke and like how, and I agree, whenever you're on the internet you can say absolutely anything no matter how innocuous and someone will interpret it in the worst possible way. So for the avoidance of doubt, that was a joke. It was funny and you can laugh. So I think that that's like been burned on my brain. And I also was like, oh, nice guys finish last. Like, women are so mean to men. Like, they just want a bad boy. Like, something I totally bought into because sometimes when you're young, you're also an idiot. So I think I've been aware of that for a long time. And like the idea that you deserve something because you're like a nice guy, which is very like, just gives me incel vibes.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's the extreme logical sort of path, isn't it? Like, yes, incels might be rarer than nice guys, but like that is the next logical step if you take it to the extreme.
Yeah.
The entitlement, I am entitled to a romance by just being a guy who does the bare minimum, or not even, So let's talk about Nice Guys in Love Island, because I don't know when this started, but I feel like every year there's a quintessential nice guy who doesn't do very well in the villa, and the public just are rooting for him and seem to feel like he's entitled, but let's get into that.
So I think the way I would put it is, since season 3, which is kind of the first series where Love Island was quite big, they've been really keen to bring people into the villa who are not your typical Love Island contestant. Because I think there's a lot of stereotypes about like, what do you think is the kind of person who would go on reality TV?
Yes.
So series 3, they brought in Camilla, former like humanitarian bomb disposal expert.
Yes.
nice, quiet, posh girl, who I think was a lot more politically like savvy than a lot of the people in the villa. Like
the time she ended it with a guy because he said we don't need feminism, which understandable. That would be
I would also do that.
Yeah,
she like low-key blamed herself for it, but she was right.
Yeah, no, you got to have same core values, you know.
Yeah,
and it's a red flag.
Yeah, it's a big fat one. So yeah, there's like a thing where they want to bring in people who are like not your typical reality TV person, which I understand. It makes it a bit more interesting. So that year it was Camilla, and the year after that it was Dr. Alex, who I will preface this with, I genuinely like Dr. Alex now.
Yeah.
I think he seems like a nice guy. I do. I think he seems like a nice, kind person. I really approve of his work on mental health. Like, if you don't know of Dr. Alex, he's like Dr. Alex George or something on Instagram, same on TikTok and other social media. And he is an actual A&E doctor. He still works as an A&E doctor.
Works throughout the pandemic.
Yeah.
Mad respect.
Yeah. And he also is like a government mental health ambassador, like does a lot of really important work. Like he's like, I'm going to say some negative things about him.
Yes.
But I think a lot of that is really it's negatives, like things I'm saying about the producers of a reality TV show.
Exactly. That's something really important to stress. Like reality TV, even though it's reality TV, most of it isn't real. It's editing. It's like people are told to have certain conversations. People are told to say certain things and make certain choices. Like this is not a criticism of the people in real life. It's like of their characters on the show.
And also particularly in the case of Dr. Alex, I think the issue that I take with it is the way that producers wanted to force women to like him.
Yes. And even like viewers, I would say, they'd be like, why does no one like Alex? Oh, they should get, there's something wrong with him, like he did. And it's like, maybe they just don't click. And also, like, this is another thing you were saying, he's
not the sort of person that you put on a reality TV show, and everyone else there is.
Yes.
So there is a bit of a disconnect between the sort of person who likes everyone else in the villa and the sort of person who likes Dr. Alex. Like, that's not saying that they're so different that you can't possibly be interested in both, but like there is a bit of a disconnect there.
And the thing is, I feel, and at the risk, I don't want to. It's not like an intelligence thing. It's more like a interest thing.
Yeah.
Right. So, because I think people stereotype, and there was that whole thing with Piers Morgan, like saying that all Love Island people are stupid, and it's like, well, no, you have like a variation, many people there, and but people have different walks of life, and like the whole just might not be the same kind of like interests, if that makes sense. Like meeting someone who's a doctor, they might be a bit like, well, I'm into going out and having a more freelance lifestyle. Do you know what I'm saying? Like different walks of life.
Yeah, like you get on with people that you see yourself having common interests with in the end, and they might not have had as much in common with Alex. Anyway,
let's talk about Alex.
The way that series went down, basically early on, I think he was one of the first people in the villa. And
he was.
Nobody stepped forward for him. So when you come into the villa, they basically have a line of girls, and they bring a guy in, and you step forward if you fancy him. No one steps forward for Alex. He picked someone. Then one of the other guys picked his girl, so he had to go on like the subs bench, which is just a sunbed. And so he kind of was like the runt of the litter in a way.
Yes.
Like from the get-go, he was like put at a disadvantage just because like he's sort of like a pasty Welsh guy.
Yeah.
And like everyone else is there like ripped with veneers and
that's another thing I want to add. Like these people are usually people who like in the grand scheme of the world, like in normal everyday life, they would be considered like really good looking people. But I think in the context of Love Island, where everyone's had like plastic surgery, or they're super duper hench and they're like almost caricatures of masculinity. Yeah. They're like massive bodybuilders. Like compared to them, he looks like a normal dude. But in real life, I think people would see him and be like, oh, he's a handsome guy. He's tall. He's a doctor. Like total catch.
Yeah. I remember there was an article that came out while he was in the villa, interviewing people who'd been to uni with Dr. Alex, and they were like, and people were so surprised because the people that he went to uni with were like, yeah, he was really like good. He shagged loads of girls. Right. And they were like, oh, but in the villa, he's got no game. And it's like, he's got no game in this situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so early on, he doesn't have much luck. And then he's like tried things with a couple of girls. It hasn't really gone well. And then Megan Barton Hanson comes into the villa, who, let's be honest, she is she is the girl who made someone ditch the person they'd been with for a month just by biting her lip at them.
Yes.
Like, she's like the most ridiculously beautiful person in the world. There was a lot of really misogynistic discourse at the time about the fact that, like, some of her features were paid for and done by a plastic surgeon, but, like,
she was kind of
aside, stunning, ridiculously good looking. So she comes in and basically, like, clearly the producers really want her to get with Alex. And he's also clearly not her type. And there's all of these, like, forced conversations where, like, she has to get to know Dr. Alex and pretend like she's taking him seriously as an option. And then when she picks another guy, it's like, why didn't she pick Alex? Like, they have no chemistry. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And after that, the producers basically start to just, like, parade in women for Dr. Alex. Like, Ellie came in. Like, all of the girls in Casa Amor were expected to, like, say they were interested in Alex. There was Alexandra in the end who genuinely did seem well interested in him, and then he wasn't interested in her. But I also don't think he was genuinely that interested in any of the other girls either.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't think he was going to find someone right for him on that show. And that's not to say that, like, again, it's not, like, in a bad way to the other people. It's just, like, I think what he was looking for was just not, I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I did also think at the time that, like, some of the comments he made about girls were, like, super weird. Like, the thing that I kind of thought was to his credit at the time was Megan obviously came in and when they said, oh, what do you do for work? He was like, I'm an A&E doctor. She was like, oh, I'm a stripper. And, like, where people had been really judgy about that, like, in the media, etc., he was just like, oh, good for you. And I know that it's really bare minimum to expect somebody not to slut shame a person for their work, but, like, I was impressed by that at the time.
I mean, it's funny you bring that up, because even as someone who is, like, a progressive YouTube channel, whenever I've posted, like, my advocacy for sex work and sex workers, I've had, people in my audience say, like, I'm not okay with this. So I do think to say it's surprising if you meet, like, a middle class man who's a doctor. Unfortunately, I wouldn't expect them to be accepting of sex work. So I know what you mean. Like, don't praise.
But I do feel like at the time I was applauding the bare minimum.
Yeah. And considering other guys in that villa wouldn't have been on board.
I mean, the thing that I will say is, like, in fairness, when a girl came in and genuinely did like Dr. Alex, which was Alexandra, they got to, like, the final 5 couples and they did, like, the final date, and he really loves cars and they sent them off to go on, like, a fancy car ride. And, like, he came back from the date and was, like, just talking about how amazing the car was. And they were like, yeah, but Alex, like, how was your time with Alexandra? Like, was it romantic? And I think it was Josh Denzel then went into the, like, beach hut, which is, like, their confessional spot, and was like, I think Alex went on a date with a car. And, like, he basically did, like, kind of throw away a lot of the goodwill that the public had for him by not fancying her. So we did eventually see a man be treated like the women who'd been paraded out for him.
Right.
Because he didn't fancy her and she was, like, gorgeous and super into him.
Yeah. And there's 2 ways to feel about that, right? And this is something that will come up with the current nice guy, is that, like, no one is entitled to anything. So yeah, just because he's had loads of chances and he meets this girl, if he doesn't feel like a connection, like, I feel like the public were a bit like, oh, come on, like, and it's really like, well, maybe if she's just not his type, like, just because she's good looking. But then again, on the other hand, you do see with some of these nice guys, and we saw this with Hugo, which we'll talk about in a minute, is that they sort of, because they've been there for so long, it feels like they're interviewing them and being like, so why should I pick you, new girl? Like, yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you want to wait, so what season was that? That was season 4.
Yeah, that's season 4.
What nice guys or what kind of nice guy caricatures have we had since?
In a way, I'm not really sure we've had one.
Till this year.
I mean, so Winter Love Island, we had Naz, who was, I guess, a little bit unlucky because Naz had committed the crime of being 5'7",
Nah.
So all of the girls were like, sorry, I really like tall guys. Like, he'd have been fine for me because I don't really date anyone who's over about 5'8".
Yeah.
Of any gender.
Yeah.
But yeah, he basically was a bit unlucky because like the girls were like physically looking for a tall guy, so they sort of wrote Naz off initially.
That's another thing about Love Island as well. It's like all the girls want tall guys.
Yes. So this girl called Demi came in, like stunning, gorgeous, also just like really funny. Like
yeah.
Before I kind of stopped watching that season towards the end, like she was my favourite. So she was like, she coupled up with Naz, she was super into him, and then they did Casa Amor where they split them off into the two villas. So the boys go meet new girls, the girls meet new boys. She and Naz were not like super duper like official. They hadn't spent that much time together. So he came back with a new girl and she was waiting for him. And like at that point, there'd been all this goodwill for him, and then it was like, oh, but now you've treated Demi poorly and we all really like her, so your goodwill's out. And he basically was out at the next dumping. Like that's what happened to Dr. Alex. Like he rejected a girl and he was out at the next dumping.
Oh
Yeah. So to an extent there was Naz, but I feel like it felt less like they were just like parading girls in who would fancy Naz. And also, to be fair, Naz and Eva, who he brought back from Casa Amor, I think they're still together.
Yeah, no, it was real.
Yeah, so fair play to him.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, it's like real life. Like, if you meet someone you connect better with, it's not like you shouldn't just stay with someone to be polite. If that makes sense. There's a way of like some people do come back from Casa Amor with someone else and they're massive dicks about it. Childish.
One thing that I would say is like the way that people were like, oh, come on, Alex, like why don't you like this girl? And like getting a bit fed up with him is like, I obviously understand it's a reality TV show, like you want the payoff, like you're watching someone every night, you're like, come on. But like in your real actual dating life, how many single people have been on tons of first dates or even second dates and just been like, oh, I'm not really meeting anyone that I have that spark with, I'm not really meeting anyone that I see anything with.
Of course, absolutely.
Like, I think it happens all the time. So
and the pool is so much smaller.
Yes, exactly. They're I mean, obviously they're bringing in a pool of like lovely, single, attractive people, but you know, there's a fair chance that you'll go on Love Island and you won't meet anyone. Like, and I think that's fair enough.
Exactly. So, shall we talk about this year's nice guy who just got booted off?
Yes, and I think I've gone from being Hugo ambivalent to pro Hugo to anti Hugo.
And where are you currently?
He's gone now. He's irrelevant to me. Like it's above me now. Like I'm done.
Do you want to explain who Hugo is?
Yes, Hugo is a PE teacher from like
a home
county.
Quite posh.
He is the first physically disabled contestant to be on Love Island. He has a clubfoot, which has had surgery on it. I don't think I could tell that he had a clubfoot, but I have a friend who's disabled who was like, no, it's really obvious. And she was a big fan of Hugo and massively wanted to like protect him and wanted him to find someone, which I think is fair enough. She stopped watching a while back. So yeah, Hugo coupled up with Sharon, basically immediately was like, Sharon's not really my type. So they didn't really pursue anything. Then he started to get to know Faye, I think, and then Liam came in. Faye coupled up with Liam. She's not with Liam anymore.
Things move quickly.
He tried stuff with Faye, didn't work. Then he was in a friendship couple with Sharon again. Then he was in a friendship couple with Chloe. Then they started being like, why can't Hugo find anyone? He's so nice. And that is when the parade began. The parade of women who fancy Hugo. So there was AJ, Andrea Jane. So she came in, immediately was like, I fancy Hugo. I'm only going after Hugo. Which, to be fair, is what I'd say if I wanted to be on Love Island this season. Because they clearly, people were clamoring for like, bring someone in for Hugo. So AJ comes in, she says she's really interested in Hugo. She chooses him at a recoupling. He is annoyed about being chosen at the recoupling because he wanted to be in a friendship couple with Sharon again. And basically AJ gets booted out of the next dumping.
Yep.
Hugo is again, he is Priti Patel on Love Island. If you are coupled up with him. Unfortunately, you are going home back where you came from, which is England usually.
Yes.
As different from when Priti Patel does it. So yeah, he's with AJ. She's out. Then this girl Georgia comes in,
who's supposedly his type on paper. Like he expresses he likes natural girls who are blonde and leggy.
Yeah. Oh, there was also this whole thing about maybe we should do a little tangent. Yes. About when Hugo, they were all playing a game and it was like the newlywed game.
Yes.
And the question was, what is your partner's biggest turn off? And Hugo said that his turn off was being fake, and he said body and personality.
Which doesn't bode well on Love Island because nearly everyone there has had surgery.
And kind of kept saying the word fake, and it really annoyed some of the girls who have had work done. Mm-hmm. But it then culminated in a very interesting scene where two women who've got boob jobs and fillers had a go at a man who's had many surgeries on his club foot because he's telling them that their surgery is wrong. And then one of them, who is actually Sharon, said to him, and I believe Sharon is mixed race, but she said to him, you wouldn't say that about someone because of their skin colour. As if getting a boob job is the same as...
Yeah. Eek.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's really ignorant of me, but I don't think it's the same.
No, it's not. And also, can we just point out that a guy in the same scene had said that his biggest turn off in a girl is hairy arms.
Oh, yeah.
Arm hair, body hair that naturally grows.
Oh, yeah. And what
But they didn't bat an eye at that.
And what sort of women have like naturally like darker body hair? Do we think that that might be slightly dodgy?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the fact all of them, their types were blonde hair, blue eyes.
Yeah. Skinny,
big boob.
Yeah. So one of those things has got to give. I think there aren't many.
But Hugo, I think, handled that situation really well. He took it to heart, and he thought
he was cancelled.
Yeah.
He thought he was cancelled on the outside.
No, not at all. I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the optics looked worse for the girls, but kind of we've all moved on now because it's been 3 weeks?
Things move very fast. Yeah. But even so, even regardless, I think he handled it really well, and he was just like, I'm sorry, I see where you're coming from. Because they sort of said to him, oh, you don't understand why we have these surgeries because of beauty standards. And he was like, oh, I hear you. And it was,
Yeah, and that actually, I think, probably did cement his status as being a nice guy.
Like an actually nice guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think that he's like a bad guy.
No, not at all.
But I think there are problems with his nice guy thing. So anyway, this girl, Georgia, or maybe it was Georgina, she was in there for about a day.
Georgia.
Pretty
sure it was Georgia.
So she comes in, she's really for Hugo, she's his exact type, she's had no work done, she's got blonde hair, she's like skinny, petite, like she looks actually like potentially quite athletic. She's pretty, and she basically goes in and goes, Hugo, you're for me. And basically, within about 24 hours, she's home. See you later, hon. Because he would rather be in a friendship couple with Chloe. And to be fair, I loved this recoupling because I loved the fact that he shouted at Toby because... Hit the microphone. I'm so sorry. Gesticulating too wildly, but I am very passionate about Love Island. So I liked the fact that he had a go at Toby because I wanted to climb into the screen and have a go at Toby.
Yes.
But he did basically have a go at Toby for making Chloe feel really small.
Yes, though people question his motives.
While Georgia was standing there, like
being ignored. And also, I think people question his motives because they thought that maybe he did that because he fancied Chloe.
Yeah. Like, definitely his motives...
Which is quite nice guy behaviour, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think his motives in that were pure because, like, literally within 24 hours, he was like, so, Chloe, do you fancy me?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe there could be something there. And she went, I'm just seeing as a friend.
Something that I thought, just to go back to the whole Georgia Hugo thing, something that kind of rubbed me up the wrong way is that when she came in, they had a conversation by the pool and he was kind of, like, interviewing her and his body language was really, like, splayed out. And he was like, so tell me about yourself. And she was like, oh, okay, so I have cats or something. And he was like, oh, cats. I hate cats. And then she was like, oh, well, I also like horses. And he was like, oh, my ex liked horses. And it was just very much, it felt very, like, arrogant. And very much like, oh, you're literally put on this show for me. So, like, whether you're staying or not is up to me. So I'm literally, like, it's up to me. The ball's completely in my court. And I just didn't like that. It didn't sit right with me.
Yeah.
It felt really, I don't know, yeah.
Didn't love that.
No, I didn't love that bit. I thought that was kind of arrogant.
Yeah.
Didn't love that for him.
I mean...
Or for her.
No,
especially for her.
Especially not for her. Poor girl.
Yeah.
Going in and begging Hugo for attention and him being like, actually, I'd rather tell off Toby.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, at that moment, I actually voiced it with my friend and I was like, a man on Love Island has actually called out another man for his poor behaviour.
Yeah.
Because I genuinely, correct me, people, but I am not sure that's ever like happened before.
Not that explicitly.
Where a man has like gone to another man and been like, you are treating women poorly, you are not behaving well and you need to have a think about it.
Not that I can think of, no.
Yeah, I can't think of the time that that's happened. So I was just like, thank God, like maybe this can be an example to like, you know, like blokes who hear their mates saying something shitty. Because like, we've all been there, like your friend says something where you're like, hang on, what? But like, you don't necessarily know how to bring it up because like that's your mate and you don't want to upset them.
Yeah, the whole culture. Like,
yeah. So like this is I was like, oh great, this like hopefully can be an example on like how to deal with it. Although like admittedly it was like maybe a little bit too aggressive, but like, you know, an encouragement to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But then yeah, within 2 days it was like, oh, he fancies Chloe.
Yeah.
Oh, and he's like gone to Casa Amor and embarrassed himself. Cool.
Let's talk about that actually. Oh god, sorry, it just gets worse. Again, it's like he seems perfectly like nice, like actually nice. Like there's nothing against him as a person, but just bless him, he does not have tact. So he he had a girl, Casa Amor. She was originally like trying to sort of talk to Tyler, this other guy.
Yeah.
And they shared a bed the first night, and then they came back. Hugo. Oh, should we talk about that kiss?
Job done.
So they.
Do you know why he said job done?
Because they tried to film it 5 times. Yep. So Hugo and Amy's first kiss. Apparently, the producers were getting frustrated with him because they kept trying to film it, and I don't know, what was he doing? Was he just
I don't know,
fannying about, really?
I don't know, being weird, not doing it to the camera,
being
like,
awkward.
Who knows?
And then he said when they got the take, job done, and it was just the most unsexy thing ever. It was bad. It was bad. So he comes back with Amy, and when the girls ask her, like, oh, so you and Hugo, she's like, yeah, instant connection. I was like, oh, shit, but okay.
Yeah, she is being held in bondage.
Yep. I don't think they liked each other at all.
I mean, I thought it was like a little bit, I don't know, I think they possibly grew on each other.
Well, what did he say last night when he left?
Oh, unfortunately, I didn't find a romantic connection in here, and she was just like...
He said his time there was tragic. He used the word tragic, and her face, like, oh, the poor girl. I was just like, oh my god, carnage.
Yeah, I think it's a tragic comedy, to be fair, Hugo.
Tragic comedy.
Really recommend reading Jason Okundaye's column on Love Island in Bustle.
Yes. I see him on Twitter a lot.
When they went to Casa Amor, he was speculating that Hugo was going to essentially like be the concierge and get like water and towels for the girls and do a turn down service on the beds every morning.
Yeah.
Because like at that point we were like, is Hugo even interested in speaking to women? I think we possibly grew a little bit wary of Hugo before we did of Dr. Alex, just because Dr. Alex, like the girls were turning him down. Although I think ultimately he probably
didn't
wasn't
like them
either.
Yeah.
Whereas Hugo was turning the girls down even when they came in and were throwing themselves at him.
Yeah, like, I want you.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
I mean, I could not have gone in and been AJ or Georgia, even if I did fancy Hugo.
To put your eggs all in the Hugo basket.
Well, it's not even like put your eggs in his basket, but I wouldn't go in there and be like, I want you.
Yes, it's a bit strong, isn't it? It's a bit full on, and even if someone really attractive did that, I would be a bit like, whoa, you know what I mean?
I mean, I would do that to someone in real life. I wouldn't do it on telly though.
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it on telly. Like I think I would be that direct in real life. I don't think I would do it on Love Island. But then also I wouldn't go on Love Island because I'm not a size 6.
Right. So let's talk about that. And also, there was recent discourse about whether there could be a queer Love Island. I don't think there could.
Watch the fluid season of Are You the One?
Okay.
It's like season 8. It's great.
Okay. Yeah.
There's a fivesome. No spoilers, but there is a fivesome.
Do you think there could be a queer Love Island?
I actively don't want it.
Yes. As a queer person.
Yeah, as a queer person, I actively do not want a queer Love Island.
I imagine it would get insulting pretty quickly.
Yeah. And it's not even that. Like, I don't think that straight people watch Love Island and they're like, well, this is a great representation of my culture. I mean, like, look, as a person who occasionally dates men, I don't look at Love Island and think that's how I want people to understand me. But the thing is, like, Love Island is not interpreting, like, straight culture for the masses. You know what I mean? Like,
or dating culture. Yeah.
Exactly. It's not interpreting straight culture or dating culture for the masses, because, like, it's already the norm.
Mm-hmm.
Love Island is like these weird people who go on a dating show.
Yes. You have to be a special kind of person to sign up for that.
Now, imagine there are people watching gay Love Island who don't know any gay people.
Right. That's a good point.
I'm busy when that series is airing. Whenever it is, I've got better things to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, yeah, I don't really want it. The queer series of Are You the One was like already a lot. It was messy. And I think that, like, I mean, that in a way, I don't know if you've ever seen Are You the One, but it's one where
I know of it.
Basically, like, everyone in the house has like a perfect match that's been determined by an algorithm, and you have to work out who your perfect match is. And if you all work out who your perfect match is, you get to split $1 million.
Jeez.
I'm
guessing they don't.
Oh no, they do.
Well, they don't work it out. Oh, they do work it out.
Yeah, they work it out.
Wow.
Yeah, you get like truth booths, and you go on dates with each other, and like there's challenges to like try and work out more about each other. Do they end up sticking with said people? No, basically no. I think there is I've only seen 3 seasons of it. I've seen seasons 1 and 2, and I've seen season 8, which is the queer one. And I think there's one couple from season 1 that are still together. I don't think anyone else is, but I could be wrong. Yeah, so there was a queer season of Are You the One where they all had to find their perfect matches, and that got a little bit messy. There was a fivesome, like, people like couldn't work out who they were supposed to be with. Like, it was a lot. But like ultimately it was fun, and you saw people like learn about other queer people and like other parts of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, it was cool. I just don't want it for Love Island.
I agree. I know what you mean. I think it would just do more harm than good. And
well, also, like, there's already like so many toxic beauty standards within like the gay community. I just don't know if we need to give more credence to them.
Well, that's the thing with the toxic beauty standards in Love Island. Like, there's always conversations, constantly about how, Black women are treated on the show. And it's really just, I mean, I don't know what word to put it. It's hard to watch, like, the way they're treated and the way the producers never, like, just put in men that like blonde women. And it's just frustrating. And I can't imagine how frustrating it is to watch as a Black woman. And you were talking about body types. I wonder if they would ever try to branch out a bit.
Maybe you didn't see this, but they were asked about it. And they said, oh, well, fundamentally we do need all of the people in Love Island to be attractive so that they could be attracted to each other.
Implying...
Yeah, I think... I mean, I don't even think that that's much of an implication.
No,
I think that's pretty straightforward.
Which is just incorrect.
And the year, season 5, which is the year that Greg and Amber won, Amber Gill, Amber from season 3 is Amber Davis. I feel like I keep saying the name Amber and people are like, are these all the same person?
Yeah.
If you've not seen it. But the year that Amber Gill won, Anna Vakili, when they put her in, people were like, oh my gosh, this is like the plus size representation we've been looking for.
She's not plus size.
Yeah, she's a size 10. And she's got a bum.
She's just very voluptuous.
Yeah.
But she's still got, flat everything. Like, flat stomach, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the guys from the previous years was like, oh, she's plus size. And it's like, oh, this is not correct. It would be great if there was someone plus size on there. But yeah, I don't see that happening.
Fair, you only have to be a size 10, which for US listeners is a 6. US 6. You only have to be a size 10 to be considered a plus size model.
Really?
I mean, that might not be true anymore, but it was true like a few years ago.
Well, this has been an interesting little dive into Love Island. So you despite its flaws, you're going to keep watching. How long do you think the show's got left in terms of I don't mean for this season, I mean like as a show?
I mean, the thing is, we've had 3 suicides of people who have been on Love Island now. Yes. We had Mike Thalasitis, we had Sophie Graydon, and we had Caroline Flack, who was the presenter. Yeah. And like, we know that Sophie Graydon was like, a lot of her depression was like triggered by what people would say to her on social media. We know that is also true of Mike Thalasitis. I don't know how much we know really about Caroline Flack's death, because there was other stuff going on in her life at the same time.
So much.
Like, yeah, she was a woman with a lot on her plate. I kind of, I mean, this year they've done all this stuff like, be kind, mental health is important. And they are offering more support for islanders as they like step away from the villa, which like is great. But I question whether they could take another incident like that and like.
So you think if that happened, that would be it?
Yeah, I think it would have to be.
Though if 3 times hasn't, then I mean a presenter.
Oh, but that was before they introduced all of this stuff, and like, to me, I feel like a lot of that stuff is cosmetic. And I don't know if it is going to cause like a real cultural change. But obviously,
so
I've not been on Love Island, and I don't work on Love Island, so I don't really know.
So if someone from seasons which did have all these supports in took their own life, then that would be an indication that it hasn't worked, and therefore the show is just doomed.
I think so.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. What other things do you think, like viewership and stuff, would tank it? Or do you feel like that would be what would end?
Oh, I mean, viewership could tank it, absolutely, but it feels like it's just getting bigger every year.
I know what you mean.
Apart from the winter series.
Yeah, which was
yeah.
We don't count that.
I mean, part of the joy of Love Island is like, it's summer for you and it's also summer for them. I don't think you get that with Winter Love Island.
No, it's just not. Well, do you want to plug your pluggables? Tell the folks where they can find you, find your music, find your stuff.
Yeah. I have a YouTube channel, I guess.
Yes, plug it.
But it's not got loads of videos on it, and
videos.
In the last episode of this that I listened to, you made fun of someone for you made fun of like an MRA channel having 3,000 subscribers, being like, debate me, Tara, and I don't have 3,000 subscribers.
No. I'm sorry.
Debate me, Tara.
I didn't mean it like that. No.
I know, but like still, it's a very small channel, but you can look at my music videos.
Get them subscribers.
Yeah, Tara will link it in the description, won't you, Tara?
Yes, of course.
And I have a song called Biggest Mistake, which came out in July. It's like
a bop.
Well, it's a bit of a headbanger, I think.
Oh, a headbanger, sorry.
Yeah.
Not a bop.
No, it can be a bop as well. It depends on your definition of a bop, but I'd say it's a bit of a headbanger.
Yes.
And it's like inspired by like Paramore and Avril Lavigne.
I love it.
All of the rock girls.
I think it's my favourite of yours so far.
Hello.
And you got Instagram, Twitter, all that?
Yeah, I've got all of those things. I've got TikTok as well. It's at bexx.mp3. Just, just writing songs and doing silly little social posts.
Exactly.
Yes. And maybe I should also say, I also have a radio show on Glitterbeam UK.
Yes.
And it is a new music show. I basically only play like small artists that you've never heard of before. So if you want to like come and discover like the next big thing, or like just be like, oh, I really love this niche band, you've probably never heard of them.
Yeah, you'll be the cool kid.
Yeah, you can come listen to my radio show on Glitterbeam. It's online and it's also on DAB.
What's it called? What's the name of it?
Working title at the moment is Best New Bops with Bexx.
Cool. Best New Bops with Bexx on Glitterbeam.
Yes.
Nice.
But shall we do the bye-bye?
Let's do it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.